Thank you all for joining in. Mayor Thomas, Paul, Joss, and Pryor. Did I say your name right, Paul?
He's on mute.
Paul, you're on mute. Let me unmute you. Mayor, there is a lot of talk in regards to the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter. There is rumors, there is misconceptions. We need a clear picture of what is going on. Can you please take the floor and tell us what's going on? What is the situation or the difficulties adopting those poor animals?
So there's mixed news. There's good news that the cats have all been obligated and are prepared to be picked up by the quick work of a Mount Vernon native, Stephen Pryor, who's on this call. I'm very thankful to him and his efforts to rally in and bring in other rescue groups, including Northwind Kennels up in Bedford. And so the good news is that the cats are in the process of being transitioned out. But the dogs, it feels like a hostage situation because City Hall is not really responding to questions. They're not providing access to the animals. And there are lots of issues that continue to pop up. But I'd invite Mr. Pryor to kind of give more context as to, what his group has been experiencing and why it's important that we provide the status update to try and ensure that the dogs that are at the shelter do find a home, or at least the coalition that has formed to save them can, work with the administration to actually save them.
Paul?
Yes, sir. Well, there have been multiple attempts to try to contact people down at the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter through multiple rescues, whether it's rescues here in the state of New York or rescues out of state. When I first got the message that the shelter was closing down, I had actually been one that was always networking Mount Vernon animals via my Facebook page. So I immediately started sharing their dogs. Once I started sharing the dogs and I was getting feedback on the posts on all the dogs I was sharing, people were calling the shelter, the number that was in the post. They weren't getting a response. Nobody was answering the phones. And I took the time out last Wednesday to call the shelter, and I finally did get someone on the phone. The young lady did explain to me that the dogs were there. She said people would have to be patient because they had over 600 emails that they were trying to respond to, but trying to get someone on the phone has been a chore. And if you're in the rescue community and you're trying to save these dogs, they actually need to get inside the building to access the dogs to see if their shelter can handle that dog, whether it being a friendly dog, an aggressive dog, a big dog, or a small dog, to see if they have the space for it. But none of the rescue partners that I deal with have been able to get into or get access to the dogs, let alone even being able to speak to anybody about getting in to get the dogs. So this makes it very difficult to save these dogs. Information that I got was that these dogs were supposedly going to New Rochelle, and that they were supposed to have been paying New Rochelle a large sum of money to take these dogs. But I also got that if these dogs did go to New Rochelle, they were only going to have a few days to be placed, and then they were going to be killed if they weren't placed. So that right there alone within itself is a problem, because if you have rescues that are willing to step up and step in and take these dogs, then there's no reason that they shouldn't have access to being able to get inside the shelter, to be able to access these dogs, to get them out of there safely, and to get them to a safe location where if they need medical attention or any type of vetting, that can be done by a different rescue outside of the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter.
No, let me take the opportunity to make it clear because I try to be as fair as possible. And I called the Mount Vernon City Hall trying to speak with the current administration. I spoke with Tim Allen and I said, Tim, I've been getting a lot of emails talking about those dogs being euthanized. And he told me that that is not true, it's not happening. So maybe, Mayor, you want to give us the definition of being euthanized? Because some people are thinking that they are not, other people are thinking they are. And by listening to Paul, if those dogs are not placed in a proper home, they will be euthanized. They're not going to stay there forever. Can you elaborate on that, sir?
Yeah, so when you go to the Humane Society of Westchester at New Rochelle's website, they have their definition of no kill. And they, I'll just read their policy, and they say that they make all reasonable efforts to find new homes for every healthy and or treatable dog and cat who are ready to be placed when entering a shelter. They define healthy as on intake, the animal shows no signs of behavioral or temperamental characteristics that would pose a health or safety risk or otherwise make the animal unsuitable for placement as pet. And then they define treatable as animals who are not healthy, but are likely to become healthy if given reasonable medical, behavioral, foster, or other care. Animals who are not healthy and not likely to become healthy, regardless of care provided, but who would likely maintain a satisfactory quality of life if given reasonable care, including long-term care. This does not include any animal determined to pose a significant or safety risk to humans or other animals. So, their definition of no kill does not include the other elements that you would want to see that you currently have at Mount Vernon Animal Shelter. So their definition is something that is troubling to the rescue community. And this is why, it's important that people know that every effort is being exhausted to try and get in contact with City Hall so that rescue organizations like Mr. Pryor's, as well as Northwind Kennels, which is working with the shelter, but they still can't get access to other animals inside the shelter, which goes to show you that it's feeling like a hostage situation in a sense, because they're not cooperating with the rescue mission to get these dogs placed. But instead, it feels like, there's a rush to pay another community to do something that the community of Mount Vernon, Mr. Pryor being from Mount Vernon, but others that are stepping in from, around the region to help Mount Vernon for free. They're being shut out, and it doesn't make any sense. And that's why we wanted to provide this important alert status update that we got good news. The cats are going to be transitioned out as early as tomorrow, Tuesday, January 10th. But in terms of the dogs, the clock is ticking and no one can get in. And everyone that we've learned has been threatened or banned by Mayor Patterson Howard.
So to make it clear, so people understand, there is a possibility that those dogs will be euthanized if they are not, if they don't find a place for them to be, correct?
That is correct.
Now,
And
go ahead, sir.
No, but the real sad part is there are people both from Mount Vernon that cannot get through to City Hall to help facilitate the adoption process. That's the problem. And that's why, everyone is focused on how do we get in touch with the administration to help resolve the issue of adoption for these dogs that do face euthanization if they are not placed.
Well, I can tell you that I have received dozens of emails because people think that I am part of the animal shelter in Mount Vernon. So they've been reaching out to me, and the majority of the complaints is that they cannot reach out to the shelter, to the mayor, in order to adopt or facilitate an adoption. That's the big problem. And I have heard from people from all over the states, United States, actually, and Canada and Scotland, that are aware now of the situation that it's going on here in Mount Vernon. Now, what about those that might not be able to keep the dogs that they currently have, and they are looking for a place to go and bring their dogs, hoping that they will find a better homes? Are the shelters open for intake?
Currently, no. And that's also, a troubling matter, because this past weekend, around midnight on Saturday, going into Sunday, 2 dogs were abandoned in front of the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter. And I went by there to see and to hopefully help the rescues. But thankfully, the Mount Vernon police were able to respond and let them into the building. But the real situation there is what happens when the building is closed. And after a closer inspection at the building on Saturday night, I showed on video that there are heat lamps that were working in the outside of the cages. The heat is on in the building. So the question becomes, what's wrong with the building? How come the building has to be shut down if it is, providing a form of shelter with heat during the wintertime? And this is why, everyone like Mr. Pryor, who's on with us, and including Penny at Northwind Kennels and Regina at Bullie, we're all trying to figure out, why is the building being shut all of a sudden if, it has the potential to be repaired and rehabilitated.
So the building, even though people are talking about that the conditions of the building are very bad, in your opinion, it can be recovered, that work can be done and make the shelter edible, for the animals to have a place to be. So there is really no need to go to New Rochelle.
That's my belief. And Mr. Pryor, I don't know if you want to comment on, you mentioned that this could be easily fixed with maybe $50,000 or something to that effect.
From what I was told from people that have been in the building, is that it's not going to take a lot of money to renovate Mount Vernon Animal Shelter. I was told that they failed inspection 3 times, but my issue to this is it's a city-run facility. So if it failed inspection the first time, it should have been addressed at that moment. And from what I also heard, the amount of money that Governor Hochul had signed, there's a bill that the state was dispersing money to shelters for renovations, and that supposedly Mount Vernon had gotten some money to renovate this building.
$300,000.
The amount of money that they've gotten, from what I was told, was by far way more than what they actually needed. And I was just told that this building could be renovated for probably somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000, and that's really not a lot of money if you're keeping this facility open in order to serve the public.
So what do we think the problem really is? So if the building can be rehabilitated, there is money there to fix it. Why isn't the city of Mount Vernon fixing it? What is the real problem? What is the root problem?
Well, that's the question. That is the question. Where is the money and where did it go?
Mayor?
I'm asking the same question, and I even filed a lawsuit to force the city of Mount Vernon to, address this in a budget process that they did not hold for the public to weigh in on. But we'll come back to that at another point. But the fact remains, where is the money that's needed to make the repairs? How come the repairs were not made? And why are, a critical service to the community is being taken away by Heartless Howard? Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Now, Mayor Paul, is that anything that the people who are watching, as the people of Mount Vernon and around Mount Vernon who are concerned with those animals, is that anything that you suggest we, the people, could do or can do?
So,
So,
the first thing is I
Paul,
just
at the
want
mayor's meeting, that's going,
Go ahead, Mayor.
no, so Paul, your screen froze. I just wanted to say, I don't know if Paul, you wanted to give people the name of your Facebook page first, and then
what is
we
it
can
that's
go.
going on?
Hey, Paul,
Yes.
your feed froze for a moment. Can you just go back and just first give everybody the name of your Facebook page, and then if you can tell everybody what they can do as you were saying when it froze.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
What everybody needs to do, they need to show up tomorrow at the mayor's meeting at 6:30.
Where, Paul? Where?
So his feed is frozen. I guess he's in transit, but the meeting is going to be held tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, January 10th at First Presbyterian Church in Mount Vernon. It's located at 199 North Columbus Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York. Again, Mayor Patterson Howard is having a town hall meeting Tuesday, January 10th at 6:30 p.m. at First Presbyterian Church located at 199 North Columbus Avenue in Mount Vernon. And, the Rescue Coalition intends to be there. We hope to get some positive feedback from the administration that they're going to work with the Rescue Coalition. But so far, nobody's been able to get through to City Hall whatsoever to address these issues as amicably as possible. So we're hoping that Heartless Howard finally finds a heart to warm up and help the Mount Vernon community maintain access to the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter by keeping it open.
Paul, you have any final words that you would like to say?
I would like to see all of those that want to voice their opinions, those that have a concern, a genuine concern for the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter and the dogs that are in there, please show up. There will be several rescues that I work with and deal with that are planning on coming. So I hope everyone else can attend, and let's stand as one to help these animals in the shelter.
Now, Mayor, this meeting tomorrow, it's totally open to the public, or do you need invitations to get in? Because, the council was also open to the public, but at some point, I don't think it was really open to the public. So tomorrow, people can go in and listen and hear and ask questions.
The invitation says open to the public. So hopefully the public can go in and participate and ask the questions about, why the animal shelter is being shut when taxes are being increased and when the city received, close to $500,000 to fix it. And how come, the repairs haven't been made, remains to be answered. So hopefully the community will come tomorrow and ask the questions. And, we look forward to everyone supporting the effort to rescue the animals there, but also, hopefully convince the Howard administration to not do the cowardly thing. Don't shut the animal shelter. Keep it open. Let's fix it as a community, and let's really move forward.
Any final words, or what needed to be said has been said?
I don't know, Paul, did you want to just share your Facebook page with everybody for the rescues?
All of the rescues actually are all on my Facebook page. I'm very good friends with all of them. There's not many men in rescue, but those that are coming tomorrow are more than willing to help the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter in any capacity that they could.
Great.
Sometimes all you have to do is just reach out and say, hey, I need a hand. There's enough rescues around that if you had to move a few dogs while you're in the midst of refurbishing and fixing the building, I'm quite sure several rescues can take a couple of dogs for a little bit of time and then bring them back once the building is done.
But Paul, since we are talking about this issue, why not share your Facebook page? Because there might be lots of people that might want to contact you and say, listen, what can I do?
My Facebook page You can find me. It's Stephen with a PH, Pryor. Very easy. You can send me a friend request. I can answer anything else that they want to ask.
Are you on Facebook and Instagram as well?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Mayor, any final words, sir?
Look, we continue to extend the olive branch. It's just, the city has to accept it. And they shouldn't be evasive of the question of the fate of the rescues. They should, be honest and let everybody know that these rescues will face, a very difficult situation. They will die if they don't get adopted in time, and it's wrong, and it could be avoidable. And I struggle to say it because, look, I love innocent rescue animals. I've adopted a number of them, and I'm just, it's troubling to know that this administration has really just demonstrated how heartless they are with respect to shutting the animal shelter after raising taxes so much. It's ridiculous. But the olive branch is extended. Hopefully they'll work with the coalition of rescues to help avoid the situation and work with us to keep the Mount Vernon Animal Shelter open.
Thank you both, Mayor,
Thank you.
Paul. Please let us know of any updates so we can update the people that are watching us and asking us questions. What's going on? I want to keep them on the loop of what's happening. We want the good news. We want the not so good news. We want all the news so people know what's happening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.